So on the backs of what we did a few weeks ago, where we had the lovely Rita, which we believe that we have created completely. We're pretty sure. We think maybe. I don't know. Gin and
If
tonic.
not, it's our version of whatever you might know it as.
That's right. Yeah, of a gin and tonic made with tequila. Like I said, it came out of just kind of randomness at a party. We
necessity.
A necessity. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. We created another beverage that actually, within the last year, the name kind of appeared. The name came out during a podcast. We were joking about something.
Actually, it came out because of work. It came out at my
Oh, okay.
Because I work at Trader Joe's, and I was going to a register, and I was near a couple of guys that I work with, one who's still there, one who's not there anymore, who were very muscular guys.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
And one is actually now, he's a full-time fireman. But they're strong guys. And
Okay.
I said, I'm going to be working in the midst of these two burly gentlemen.
Oh, okay. And then I said something, I'm sure, to the effect of, that sounds like a good name for a drink.
And in fact, at that time, I think I even said to those guys, I'm like, that's a great name.
That's a great name for a drink. So then it kind of turned into, okay, if that was a drink, what would be in it?
Right.
So we figured to be something strong or whatever. So that's actually we have created the Burly Gentleman, and that's what we're going to get.
At least the first version of it.
That's true. This might not be any good.
That's right. We'll find out.
I think it's actually going to be pretty good.
Okay.
But we're going to find out for this Give It a Shot. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Keith, and we are AboutBeverages.com. And as we've already discussed here, the beverage we are about today is completely new, at least to us, hopefully to the world. Whether it's the final version of it or not, who knows? But listeners and viewers, we give you the Burly Gentleman.
All right, the Burly Gentleman, which kind of came on the backs of, thinking about the Manhattan a little bit, because we were thinking of some sort of mixed drink with bourbon and stuff like that. And I said, well, if it's a Burly Gentleman, you got to
think about strong.
You're talking about strong, something a little more, a little more heft,
powerful,
right? A little more powerful. So I said, well, there's got to be some Scotch in there. So
okay.
we've got that. And then we were it was today we were really formulating the final bits of this drink, because we're like, okay, we should just finally do this, try one, whatever. So we've got bourbon, Scotch, agave nectar. Right? What else do we put in here?
For a little sweetness and some bitters.
A little bitters. So a little bit of Manhattan thing going on there. We took out the sweet vermouth.
Mm-hmm.
I had it, but we just kind of didn't feel like doing that. So that's where the agave nectar came in, because we're like, okay, we need a little something sweet in there to go with the Scotch and the bourbon. The bourbon we used, I've got the Jefferson bourbon. I had a little bit of that left. And then actually for the Scotch, we wound up using the Lafroig, the triple wood Scotch. So we've got some of that. So the mixture is 2 parts of bourbon of your choice. Like I said, we use the Jefferson. 1 part Scotch, and then about a tablespoon, roughly and a half of the agave nectar.
Yeah.
And then a couple dashes of the Regan's Orange Bitters.
Regan's Bitters, yeah. Number 6, I believe.
Number 6, that's correct. Yeah, that's the one that's from the SoCal. From the
SoCal Dave.
SoCal Dave. So yeah, so we've got those things. Shook it up, mixed it together, and threw it in a glass. And it's funny about
here we are.
That's right, and here we are. And it's funny too about the Manhattan. I've referenced a little bit back about a Manhattan story that I had. So I had.
Yes.
I've never actually ordered a Manhattan at a restaurant before. So I think maybe I don't know how to. I sometimes don't know. I know how I make things at home and what I put them in or what I do or whatever. So I think maybe in a restaurant you need to get super specific. And tell me if this is maybe this is just a standard. Maybe I do it weird. So like when I made the Manhattan at home, like Dave's recipe, the ultimate, the Manhattan that he makes, which is delicious. We don't use the Maker's Mark anymore, but when we make that Manhattan, I pour it in a glass like this, and it's not over ice. It's just a glass like this, garnished with a maraschino cherry. A little bit of that kind of the juice from that is in there too. And that's the way I think of a Manhattan.
Okay.
So when I was at the restaurant, I ordered a Manhattan. I was specific about my bourbon because I didn't want...
What bourbon did you pick?
You know what? The best thing they kind of had was they had some Woodford Reserve. So I went with that.
Okay.
I thought they would have Knob Creek. I was actually going to go Knob Creek, but I didn't see that on the list, and I kind of didn't want to get into it. Like, well, what else do you have? I didn't want to be that guy. It was bad enough that I was like, I want a Manhattan, but I want it this way. So anyway, I asked for that. Oh, okay, yeah, Manhattan, okay, Woodford Reserve. And it came like in a rocks glass over ice. Is that kind of the standard? Okay.
I have seen it them served that way, yeah.
So is that something I probably should have asked for, like neat? I need a Manhattan neat. or
I
something
don't
like that?
I don't honestly
or
know.
is that just how a Manhattan's? Because like I said, when I normally serve it,
Well, because that's how Dave's always made them for us in the
Right.
mixer like that. I honestly am not 100% certain if there are multiple ways or
Yeah.
if that's the way you're going to get it.
if there's a bartender out there
Manhattan
that would like
neat.
to let us know if that's a certain way to order it, or no, you just do it weird at your house, and
Yeah.
this is the way.
Yeah,
you
let
order
us
them in.
know.
And I mean, it was still good. It was
Yeah.
very good. It was like, but when she brought it over, I was like, in my head, I was like, that's not what I thought I would.
I have to drink this
But,
quickly
yeah,
before it dilutes.
Yeah, a little. There was a little bit of that. Like I said, toward the end, it did dilute, which kind of made me a little sad.
Right.
And then it was also garnished with it wasn't maraschino cherries. It was this weird. At first, because I was with my wife, with Rachel, and she was like, "Oh, are those black olives? They almost look like black olives. They were some like tiny little grape." Because then I had one. I was like, "Well, I know it's not a black olive, but I'm gonna eat it anyway." And I ate it, and it tasted very much like a grape, like kind of getting into a raisin type thing. So I don't know if that.
Maybe it was a currant or something, or
Yeah, but it was. I mean, it was good size though.
Okay.
It was black olive sized.
okay.
And I was like, well, that'd be a weird thing to put in there anyway. And
Yeah.
even the grape
That
thing,
would've
I was
been weird.
Even the grape was kind of like, I was not ready for this. It was okay. But like I said, that was another thing too, where I was like, okay, maybe this is some special.
Well, everybody
Manhattan-
does them a little bit
Manhattan that I didn't
differently,
realize
so.
I ordered. Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, that's my amazing story where I was just like, whoa. It was one of those things where
This is not a Manhattan.
that's not what it. You've done the wrong thing.
1934. Bring me some fresh wine. Oh, from the jerk.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring me something from this year.
It could only be a white if they were doing that. Well, we've got a lot lighter than I thought it was going to be.
Well, it's obviously because originally when you shook it up, it was not quite this clear, but it's definitely settled out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's cleared up. It's about it's a frosty gold color there. Well,
Yeah.
frosty because of the mug or because of the
Yeah.
glass being chilled, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit lighter, like I said, little water content in there, and then
Mhm.
also not using the sweet vermouth, which kind of brings down, the coloring a little bit.
Yeah.
Not using those,
Yeah,
so
more golden.
yeah.
The scotch comes through to me.
It does. It comes through first.
Yeah.
So that makes me glad that we picked the scotch we did.
Yeah.
Because I actually had a couple options from Lefroy, and we went with the one that was not quite as peaty.
Yeah.
And it's good that we didn't, because even though that's lesser thing, that hits first. But then after that, I get a little subtle, like little bourbon sweet after that.
I get the peat and then I get the sweet. Peat and sweet.
Peat and sweet.
Yeah, because I get maybe that's from the agave.
It's my Cartoon Network cop drama. Pete and Sweet.
Peat and sweet.
I'm intrigued, though.
Oh yeah.
Are you excited?
Let's take a sip of the Burly. Wait, that doesn't sound right.
Take a sip of the Burly Gentleman.
Let's suck on the Burly Gentleman.
God.
Oh wait,
That
no.
sounds terrible.
Let's drink from the Burly. No.
Let's drink from the waters of the Burly Gentleman.
Yes. From the golden. No. Well, that's downright delightful.
It's pretty good, right? It's quite a bit of booze.
Mhm.
You definitely get the alcohol, like that. You haven't tamed down that alcohol as much as putting in something else, which I was kind of a little bit nervous about. But I think the agave nectar,
The agave was a good call.
it was
To
that
back that
syrupy
off a little
sweet
bit,
to go
yeah.
in there. You need that. You need some sort of sweet in there.
Because you're definitely getting that peaty,
Yeah.
that smoky peaty.
The subsequent sips, I get more bourbon. The bourbon seems to come, like the bourbon and that sweetness and a little vanilla, and that seems to come through more, and then it turns. It's kind of like, because the smokiness is so strong, that's what's going to hit you first. But then when you have another sip, you're
Yeah.
kind of used to that a little bit, and then that turns almost into the finish.
That's actually quite drinkable.
Right?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
But I still, on the finish though, I'm still getting the peat.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
sitting here.
that's what I'm saying. Like that.
It's like peaty and then sweet. It's peaty, sweet peat.
Yeah, well, to me, it almost like reverses. The very first sip and the aroma, I was like, okay, peat, the scotch coming through, those kind of notes, and then and then into a little bit of honey and the agave and the bourbon, and then sip number 2, to me they reversed. I got the bourbon, and
Yeah.
all those things, and then the finish turned into, like
the
you said,
peat.
the peat and the like that kind of. Yeah, the bourbon for me is what hits first, and then
Yeah. Speaking of bourbon and whiskey and things, a girl that I work with just went to Colorado, and she stayed in the hotel where they filmed The Shining.
Oh, really?
And at the bar there, she said she wound up talking with a bartender who was dead. No.
Yeah. Wow. And
no,
she said, "But you have to deal with them, right, Mr. Torrance?"
That's right. No, she had. I guess they started talking about whiskeys and bourbons, and then she gave her this whole tasting and demonstration. She's like, "I thought of you and your brother." She's like, "I thought you guys would probably be loving this right now." She said she tipped her very well, and then she made her a drink, but yeah, I guess she talked about rye and about whiskey and about bourbon and about all kinds of different things.
Wow.
And she got to try a Colorado. I think a Colorado. Can they make bourbon?
Whiskey.
Colorado whiskey, and a whole bunch of different things. So, but yeah, it
wow,
was, very cool.
That's the coolest thing in the world when you can actually find a bartender or someone like that loves their craft, loves what they do, and then recognizes in you either someone that, even if you're not familiar, is just willing to learn and is someone that wants to experience. That connection is just sometimes the most amazing thing in the world.
Debbie was funny because she said, "Yeah, we tried all those." She's like, "Well," she's in a little bit later. She's like, "Well, I took a nap." She's like, and then after that, she's like, I came back and she made me this.
I took a nap.
I said that was
if
funny.
there was a full tasting of that stuff, I would need a nap too.
Yeah, it'd have to be nap time in order to come back and be strong. This is actually very, very tasty.
That's pretty good, right?
I don't know if I would have wanted
to
have put the cherry in there.
I don't think so either. We debated a couple things, so maybe we talk about that for a second. We debated about still putting, garnishing it with a cherry.
Yeah.
Which I think you could still throw a garnish in there. That's not going to be
a garnish would be good, but I don't know what.
You wouldn't want to put any of the, juice in there per se. The other thing too was
piece of chocolate covered bacon. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Although bacon would be at home in this
bacon would be
somehow.
at home with that scotch.
Yeah.
A little bit of the savory.
Candied?
Did
They make candied bacon?
I don't know. They make chocolate covered bacon. They
do
actually make
honey
that.
glazed bacon.
Well, they make honey glazed ham. That's almost bacon.
That's almost bacon. Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking of that because of the sweet we had,
right,
and because of the smoky. So. Anyway.
And the other thing we talked about too was we almost talked about having a third whiskey in here, doing equal parts of like a Jameson, like an Irish whiskey, a bourbon, and the Scotch and Lafroig. But I don't know. I think it might get lost.
Yeah.
The other one, like I said, the Jefferson is awesome. It's so smooth and everything.
It'd be a
else.
way to stretch your bourbon if you had extra Jameson and wanted to.
Yeah, I think
I think
it could work, but I think this is awfully smooth though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely could be an option if that's something you want to try.
Yeah, that's quite tasty actually.
It's amazing to me, the finish. Like, even though there's the smokiness there, the complexity of those couple different things going on, the finish is pretty smooth, pretty clean, and makes you long for another sip.
It does actually, yeah.
That sweetness that's in there, I think, really pulls all that together.
I don't usually drink bourbon or Scotch chilled like this. It's kind of nice to have it that you did mixed it with the ice, chilled it down a little bit. It definitely adds a different complexity to it. That's very nice.
Yeah, for the heck of it, the other day I actually did have. It was at Knob Creek. I had some of the Knob Creek around. It was the 9-year age, the 120 proof, which just I liked the initial flavor of it, but for me that was just a little too fiery. I mean, that was just a little, and that I did throw an ice cube in, and that was actually not too bad. And I'm usually not one to water down my flavors.
No, but
as Fitz would
in
say.
Something like that, yeah. That was probably a welcome addition.
It was wise if I wanted to make. I didn't have a lot left of that, particular bourbon. And I was like, I need to finally finish this one off. I was like, the only way I'm ever going to do it is if this thins out just a little bit, just a pinch.
That's quite tasty.
That's quite tasty. And if you're looking for other tasty recipes, you can head on over to AboutBeverages.com and check out the recipe for this one, along with several other things that we've done in the past. Not only classic, margaritas and Manhattans and all those different types of things, but we've done lots of gin mixed drinks and other things. Lots of good recipes on the site. And if you have your own recipe of something either you've created out of necessity, like we have on a previous show, or just something that you do that's a little bit different, we'd love to hear about it. We'd love to try it. And go ahead and send us an email to aboutbeverages.com, and or just even let me know on Twitter, or let us know on Facebook. Any of those things, or even a comment here down at the bottom on YouTube is always good as well. We will always take a good recommendation.
Absolutely.
But whether we like it or not,
you should give it a shot.